That is the truth.
Edmund Kemper, also known as the co-ed killer for killing co-eds, was a serial killer born and raised in California who killed a total of 10 people. If you don't know what a co-ed is, it's a female student. He was 6'9" as well as 300 pounds. So let's take a step back and see where he started. So from a young age, he would take his sister's dolls and decapitate them, stating he would get a sexual thrill from the popping noises that happened when he did that, and he would also force his sisters into playing games such as gas chamber or electric chair. So many people would believe that the serial killer within Kemper may have stemmed from his mother. So Ed's mother was an alcoholic and may have suffered with borderline personality disorder. His mother wasn't very protective of him for a fear of turning him gay.
My mother was a sick, angry, hungry, and very sad woman. I hated her, but I wanted to love my mother. And I watched the alcohol increase. I watched her social life drop off. I watched her get bizarre. She had terrible pain from her life, earlier life, her upbringing, a failed marriage with my father. I'm a constant reminder of that failure. I hate to distill it down into such, into one-word realities like that. There's a lot that leads into that happening, but that is what happened. They represented not what my mother was, but what she liked, what she coveted, what was important to her, and I was destroying it.
At age 10, Ed's father had left, and his mother had started taking out her anger on her son. She would constantly insult him, saying things like no woman would ever love him, as well as making him sleep in the basement out of fear that he would hurt his sisters. Was she right to do this? So at this point, after his father had left, Kemper had killed both of the family cats. He buried one of them alive and later decapitated it. So his violent tendencies were evidently already there, and it begs the question whether his mother was right to fear Ed in pursuit of his sister's safety. When Kemper was 14, he had had enough of his mother and ran away to live with his father. But he had already remarried another woman, and so he sent him to live with his grandparents. Ed hated his grandparents. His grandfather was very senile, and his grandmother super emasculating. Kemper stated at one point, "I couldn't please her. It was like being in a jail. I became a walking time bomb and I finally blew." During an argument with his grandmother at age 15, he took out a rifle and shot her in the head. They both became his first victim. He also killed his grandfather after so that he wouldn't find out that he had killed his wife. After this happened, Ed had called his mother and confessed. So he was sent to a criminally insane section of a hospital where it was determined that he had paranoid schizophrenia, as well as an IQ of 136. Ed stayed in that hospital until he was 21 years old in 1969, where he was released to the public. So after he was released, he would then live with his mother, who at this point was now working as an administrative assistant at a university in California. He would then start giving rides to co-eds simply to become acquainted with them. He gave rides to over 100 of them without incident.
After police warnings against hitchhiking and an increased bus schedule on the campus, Kemper had no trouble picking up hitchhikers. Ironically, one warning advised riding only in cars with university stickers. Kemper's car had such a sticker.
My mother worked at the campus, and I had an A sticker on my car, and obvious access day or night to the campus. I was picking up some very lovely young women. You know what we were talking about as we're driving around, almost as often as not? This guy that's going around doing this stuff. And the second they started talking that, they didn't realize it, but they were getting a free ride. I couldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, I swear. You know, but they'd be telling me what all about this guy, and they're comparing notes and speculating on what he looks like, how he carries himself, why he's doing this stuff, telling me about it.
So how come they get in a car with somebody at that time?
She judged me not to be that guy. I didn't look like him.
Ed's violent tendencies came back though. He once stated, "One side of me says, wow, what an attractive chick. I'd like to talk to her, date her. The other side of me says, I wonder how her head would look like on a stick."
Do you know what Ed Gein said about women?
Ed Gein, maitre d' canal bar?
No. Serial killer, Wisconsin in the 50s.
And what did Ed say?
He said, when I see a pretty girl walking down the street, I think two things. One part of me wants to take her out and talk to her, be real nice and sweet and treat her right.
And what the other part of him think?
What her head would look like on a stick.
Obviously, it wasn't Ed Gein who said that, he just mistook the name since it's relevant to the movie's theme. So skipping a little bit here, he went on to kill a bunch of these co-eds where he would decapitate them and hide their bodies in places such as ravines. He would also perform necrophilia on them. Once he buried someone's head in his mother's garden as a joke on her. Often he would do these killings after an argument with her, so his cooling period was however long in between these arguments occurred. But 6 killings happened in only a year between 1972 and 1973.
I said, she's got to die, and I've got to die, or girls like that are going to die. And that's when I decided I'm going to murder my mother. I knew a week before she died I was going to kill her. And she went out to a party, she got soused, she came home, went to sleep. I was woken up by that, came out. I walked up to her bed. She's laying there reading a paperback, as many thousands of nights before. And she said, "Oh, I suppose you're going to want to sit up all night and talk now." Shit. And I looked at her, I said, "No." I said, "Good night." And I knew I was going to kill her, you know? And I'm so cold, it's so hard. And that's the first time in 10 years I've looked at it that way. I mean, that intensely, that honestly. It hurts. Because I'm not a lizard, I'm not from under a rock. I came out of her vagina. See? I came out of my mother. And in a rage, I went right back in. For 7 years, she said, I haven't had sex with a man because of you, my murderous son. This is one of our arguments. I cut off her head, and I humiliated her corpse. It's there, you know? A 6 young woman dead because of the way she raises her son and the way her son is raised, the way he grows up. And what's her closing words? I suppose you want to sit up all night and talk. God, I wish I had.
So his final kill was his mother. He beat her to death with a pick hammer in his sleep, decapitated her, and then proceeded to sexually assault the head and use it as a dartboard. Ed then ripped out her vocal cords and threw them in the garbage disposal. He then called his mother's best friend over and killed her as well. Woo! Yeah, how awesome is that? Well, not everyone saw such a dark side to Ed. The cops were very unsuspecting of him because Ed had made friends with them, often going out to drink at bars with them.
They'd buy me a beer, I'd buy them a beer. Casual relationships, but I was poking around a little bit trying to find some things out. I knew they wouldn't be privy to hot information, but there were some things that were bothering me, like were there any speculations on how they were dying.
So days after killing his mother as well as her best friend, he was caught. And how did he figure this happened? Well, he turned himself in. The cops couldn't believe that their friend Big Ed was the killer until he revealed the details and they all lined up. In court, when the judge asked him what his punishment should be, he stated he wished to be tortured to death. But this was not the case, as he was sent to life imprisonment. So what was the motive for Ed killing all these people? Well, it was mostly hatred from his mother, as well as a sexual desire. Though he has stated... I didn't even write a line there. Though he has stated the words, "I'm not blaming my mother, I'm saying I hate my mother." So Ed here is taking full responsibilities for his actions and not blaming his mother, which is a little surprising, but clearly this person thinks that it is not his responsibility. His organized crimes went uncovered by the unsuspecting befriended cops as he had cleverly hid his tracks. These killings all took place within California, and he mainly targeted co-eds, likely as a way to also target his mother. Since his mother worked at an institution with co-eds, he would be attacking people that are related directly towards his mother. His modus operandi was decapitation, as well as his signature. He did not seem to be the person to have kept souvenirs or trophies from his victims. Ed was a process-focused killer. Kemper has stated that he does indeed feel remorse for his victims and wishes to not harm anybody further. Today, Edmund Kemper is 74 years old and still alive in prison. He has been noted for making 5,000 hours worth of audiobooks for the Blind Project, most notably Star Wars and Dune. The goal of this project was to make audiobooks for the visually impaired, as well as provide rehabilitation for prisoners. Those who wish to participate in this program require a high school diploma, no violence within prison on their record, and still could be included depending on their conviction. Kemper has stated, "I can't begin to tell you what this has meant to me. be able to do something constructive for somebody else, to be appreciated by so many people, the good feeling gives me after what I have done. In conclusion, I don't like Edmund Kemper.